David Welton, and I'm here to talk to you about housing affordability, both in Bend and in the United States in terms of places where tech is prevalent. And I thought I'd start by kind of telling my story, where I grew up in Eugene, Oregon, on top there, and spent much of the past 15 years in Padua, Italy. And subsequently, with my wife and family, decided to move back to the United States. We were set to go to Boulder until we started looking at the housing prices and decided, this is nuts. This is extremely expensive. I'm a software engineer. I'm paid pretty well, but this is difficult. And you look at a lot of these other towns and cities in the United States where tech is prevalent and the economy is booming and housing prices are just insane. These are completely beyond the means of ordinary people that we need in our communities, such as nurses, teachers, firefighters. How can you afford $1 million home doing that? It's just not feasible. Or, if you're running a company or VC or something, you're spending a lot of your money on rent if you have these kinds of housing prices. So why aren't developers building more of it? There's a huge profit incentive. If you can, $1 million a pop, you can add to that. You could stand to make a lot of money. Why is it not happening? You look at typical housing, San Francisco up there, Palo Alto, Boulder on the bottom. You see something in common, a lot of single-family housing, not much density, not building up very much. And the reason really, one of the big reasons is the regulatory environment in the United States and the concept of not in my backyard. We can't build this here, we can't build it here, we can't build it there. Indeed, if you look at a map of Bend, the red is limited to single-family housing, no fourplexes, no corner stores, no workplaces. You are limited to your single-family home, and with the prices that we have currently, they're going to build bigger. Compare and contrast with where I lived in Padua. This is, you see it, that there's a store, a couple stores in the bottom, a lot of housing. It's not skyscrapers, it's a very human scale sort of thing. You can walk down to the store. And we actually used to be able to do this in the United States. This is Bend, 1912, when the population was 5,000 people over on Broadway. These were apartments that people, workforce housing. It's also missing middle housing where a number of people would live in that. Another famous building in Bend, 1916. There's not a huge parking lot in front of it. It's 2 stories, 100 years ago, built by an undocumented immigrant, amongst other things. So we do know how to do that. Some of the solutions that have been proposed by the Bend 2030 group are more by-right housing, let people build fourplexes and more dense housing in more areas of the city, get rid of parking minimums. The free market's a pretty good way of determining how much parking. The city currently specifies 2 parking lots per single-family house. Let people choose a house with 1 parking spot, or if they want to buy a house with 3, that's great. More mixed use, let people build corner stores and barber shops and things in residential areas, again, like we used to do, so that people can walk and ride bikes for these kind of everyday uses. Lot sizes, open space requirements, and there are several other proposals currently on the table. Let people pick, they want a house on a smaller lot. Maybe not everyone wants that, but if that's what they can afford, let them buy that. We should also do more incrementalism. Let people, let people build up in small increments in more areas of the city so that it happens gradually rather than like, oh, let's put a skyscraper here and nothing everywhere else. California and Washington are huge drivers of people coming here, which I actually think is great, but if you support the YIMBY, Yes in My Backyard groups in those areas, more housing gets built there, fewer people are forced out. We're lucky to live in a city that's still small enough where you can write to the city council and they'll listen to you, they'll read your email. So I would encourage everyone to do that. A lot of these proposals came from the Bend 2030 Affordable Housing Group. They spent a lot of time and effort to come up with a variety of ideas that are pretty good ones. I also set up a site called Bend Yimby, which I encourage people to have a look at, get involved with, chat, and we'll see what we can do.